Oh, there we go.
Okay, so
Okay.
I guess I'm the one recording, but what I'll do is I'll have a few minutes of talking about the background of what IITTI is and so on, and then you can ask questions. It's
Yeah.
a interactive sessions, very casual and so on. So I'm Patrick Chun. I'm the one of the co-founders of IITTI World Civility Index. And people always ask, what is this World Civility Index? And it's somewhat similar to a person's financial credit rating. And but instead of measuring how well a person can pay his bills, it measures how much empathy, how much good manners, and how much intercultural awareness a person has in that regard. And the motivation really has been for the corporate business application where companies can hire the people with this World Civility Index points, if you may. And one person, given, earn 100 points versus somebody who got nothing, didn't care, and so on. We would recommend the HR managers to give to give the preferential interview to the person with the 100 points, everything else being equal. So it's a kind of a measurement so that companies can have some way of measuring things and so on. On a bigger scale, there are the what I call the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance. And this is the new thing. Well, maybe not too new, but in companies, in the old days, they have to, well, of course, they have to do well in terms of their finances, make a profit, balance sheet, and so on. But now, in recent years, they also have to have something called the corporate social responsibility, or CSR. And the latest incarnation, evolution is called the ESG. So they have to have an ESG report. So there are two reports that they have to have. But unfortunately, with ESG, there are the people who feel that some of the companies have been over exaggerating, embellishing, and downright lying about their achievement in environment, social, and so on. And it's called greenwashing. So by them having the IITTI World Civility Index, at least for the social impact part, they can have a number that we give them based on their employees' average. So they can put that number into their ESG report. And since this is from us, a third party, it's neutral, so they can put it in there with a lot more credibility. So it eliminates a lot of the greenwashing accusation that the company would have. So that's the second layer. So the first is about the human resource being able to use a number like that. And second is the company-wide can use ESG for something like that. Now, on even a larger scale, this is really macro, and that is with AI, the advent of AI, artificial intelligence. A lot of pundits are saying that we're all going to be losing our jobs. Well, most of us are going to be losing our jobs if you're an accountant, a lawyer, even engineers and so on, because AI will be able to do so much. So they need a lot less people in really working in the traditional sense in that regard. So with the AI coming in and we can all be lying on the beach, how are we going to be able to pay our bills? So that is the major issue here. And there are already a lot of experts are saying we need to have some kind of a universal income. So we all get a check of $1,000 Canadian per month, let's say, and no questions asked. So that is what they call UBI, or Universal Basic Income. So with UBI, for example, ChatGPT's founder and CEO, Sam Altman, Mr. Altman had been very generous in giving this kind of UBI experiment, I think somewhere in California in a town. So OpenAI, the company, or Sam Altman is giving money to the citizens of this town just as an experiment. So those are kind of things that are already happening around in the world very quickly because, well, AI is already here. So it's not far in the future. And the next question is, okay, you give people, $1,000, no question asked. That's going to create a lot of lazy people. So that's what the
Yeah.
state goes. And so, how do we stop this kind of people do nothing and, really lying on the beach or play video games and eat pizza all day? Well, that's where the World Civility Index can come in as well, because the theory goes the future jobs are all going to be human related. It's all about the 8 billion citizens of Earth taking care of one another, caring for one another. It's the young taking care of the old, for example, who are infirm, for example. So there are a whole bunch of economists saying that, well, Patrick, this is where the World Civility Index can come in, is when people earn points and they get a higher UBI, they get more income. So in the future world, UBI is the norm, but then not everybody would get the same UBI. If people who have more empathy, they contribute more to civilization. That's what the civility index is. Civility is about civilization. The more a person can contribute to civilization, whatever that means, they earn more income. They earn more UBI. So UBI can be graduated in a different scale. So those are three layers that current thinking with the IITTI World Civility Index is corporate HR people can use it as a KPI, key performance indicator. They can also use it for their corporate social responsibility in the form of ESG. And the big thing is it can help with future UBI distribution in that regard. So that's IITTI in a nutshell.
Thank you, Patrick. First, I'd like to comment on some of the things you said. Uh, I think you nailed it when you mentioned about AI and the importance of soft skills in today's world. Like personally, I think that yeah, being a proficient at your job is of course really important, but I think at the end of the day, people do business with most of the times people do business not with the most capable person, but with the person they trust. So that's really important that you can connect with people, you can identify with them, that you know they understand you. So that's definitely really important. And yeah, I think this index is a great solution to this kind of problem, especially like when you talk about ESG, because for example, the environmental part, yeah, you can easily measure that with like scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, like CO2 emissions or how much electricity you use, all all that kind of data. But it's more difficult, of course, for the social part. So I think an index like that will help so much both organizations and people looking to join those organizations. And yeah, that's why we were interested in working with you, because we would like to help you um, develop this idea even further, so it can like get to be the norm in the future.
Yeah. It's interesting you talk about the ESG and so on. Last year, a year and a half ago, the UN General Secretary, Mr. Antonio Guterres, had a report saying that the UN SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, I think there are something like 16, 17 of them,
Mm.
and they're about poverty, education, environment, climate, and so on and so forth. They are 85% behind schedule. So the UN SDG is a 15-year ambition from 2015 to 2030. So last year was about the midway, more or less. And so at midway, UN had a report saying that they are 85% behind schedule for the SDG, for the Sustainable Development Goals. So whatever environment measurements and so on, have not been effective. So a lot of very senior people, experts are saying, where is the root cause? And they're really pointing it. The root cause is exactly that the inner development. Let me close the window here. They're cutting the grass.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so this is better. So what happens is the original idea was, solving climate and environment. The E in ESG has been a dominating part, the environment. So they're saying that, well, with the environment issue, we have a whole bunch of very smart engineers and scientists. Why don't we join the 2 points? The shortest distance is a straight line, and we get the scientists to go out and measure the ppm of a river, parts per million, mercury or dioxin and so on. It turns out that that's not the solution, because the root cause really is people don't care. Most people don't know, they don't care. And just look at our Canadian voting last time, just a few weeks ago. The Green Party earned, I think, 1 seat out of what, 200 or 300 seats in the parliament. So you see where people are going. They're not seeing the green to be the most important thing. Most important things for most people are themselves, their feeling of safety, being respected, are they being harassed and discriminated and so on. Those are more immediate. So the argument is, the IITTI raised our hand saying, well, the most important thing is really about the inside, people feeling well before they actually have the mental space to think about climate and environment and all that. So now, having raised that, I want to raise two more institute that are talking about this. So it's not just IITTI, and that could help you in your research. One of them is called the Presencing Institute. Presence as in presence, now.
Okay.
Is a very Zen, very kind of idea. Is about the inside and so on. And the Presencing Institute was started by MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And so they're talking about, these techies, these technology people, smart engineers and scientists, they have this Presencing Institute, and they talk about presence. They talk about communication. They talk about feelings. And so myself being an engineer, in my days, I said there were never any talks about feelings and all that. It's all about thermodynamics and differential equations and so on and so forth. So the Presencing Institute, every time they have a meeting, the first thing is 1 minute meditation. So it's a very, very different.
Okay.
But you see that, institute like the Presencing Institute or MIT, they see the future. They see that the trend of what has been working. It's not the technology that will solve our humanity issue. In fact, some people would argue AI and technology will worsen if we don't keep the humanity side up in at the same rate in that regard. So that's
Yeah.
one institute. The other institute is called IDG, Inner Development Goals. And you go, oh, hey, that's almost like sounds like the UN SDGs. So what's the UN SDG, the UN Sustainable Development Goals? And this IDG, which is Inner Development Goals. And you're right, they are exactly the response to SDG or the shortcoming of SDGs. The Inner Development Goals, I think they started in 2021, so it has been around 3-4 years. And now they're growing very rapidly. It's a nonprofit, and they have something like 30,000 professors and scientists and instructors, coaches, and so on, with over, I think, 100 different hubs around the world. So it's a major force to be reckoned with. And IDG, they talk about inner development, and they have set up a framework. I think at the beginning they have something like 10,000, people setting up this framework about communication, empathy, and intercultural awareness. Very, very similar. It's almost like IITTI and IDG and Presencing Institute are running in parallel in that regard. IDG was founded by Harvard University and Stockholm University, Lund University, and a few other organizations. And so you got MIT with the Presencing Institute that they invited us to collaborate with them, and IDG, the Harvard group, they invited us to be part of it, and they're writing a book, and one of the chapters is about the World Civility Index, is about us, because what happened is IDG, they have this whole
Yes.
block
Uh-huh.
of content of this framework of communication and soft skills,
Mhm.
but the World Civility Index quantifies it. It measures, it puts
Okay.
numbers on them. So with numbers, as myself, working in the corporation, numbers are very important for management. Without the numbers, the measurement, there's no measurement. Without the measurement,
Hmm.
there's no progress. So those are the three organizations, the United Nations, which, we're happy that we are part of the United Nations
But
sustainable.
yeah,
Yeah,
I saw an article that said IITTI was collaborating with the United Nations with some initiatives.
yeah,
I think one is finishing right now, 2025 June, I believe.
yeah. So yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're ahead of schedule. We already have 200,000 young people using the World Civility Index,
Oh, that's great.
one way or the other, earning points and so on. So that is good. And so, we focus on our relationship with the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA, or DISA, they call them. And so they are the sustainable development gatekeepers. And so we work something like that. We work with the Presencing Institute of MIT, and we also the IDG. They're publishing a book chapter of us, and
Okay.
so I think they're launching it in June or July. So in the next few weeks. So it's very exciting things that are happening, and they talk about the reason why IITTI is really small by design. IDG, 30,000 people, and Presencing Institute. Last time
Hmm.
there was 1,000 people from around the world. So they're a really big organization, and of course UN is also very big. But what happens is the IITTI does something that nobody else is doing, and that is the measurement. And since myself is a computer programmer and engineer, we do measurement all day. So
Hmm.
I said, well, we can measure soft skills, in a very unique way.
Yeah, you need to quantify everything nowadays for it to be so for people who don't understand much about this, so they have a better grasp of how it works, what it is. I don't know if I'm expressing myself too well.
You are.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think okay, first of all, I want to say that yeah, you're right that all these advancement in regarding to like the environment, technology, and AI are great. But I think the majority of people can agree on what the issues are, but they cannot agree to work together to solve those issues because those come to down to communication, to connecting to people. It's all about collaboration, and it's a problem that I think you people in general have always had. Nowadays is really important. So yeah, I think this will be great, and I'm happy to know that IITT has such strong bonds with organizations with the same goal. This is great. So it means like you'll get you can get a strong support. You can plan big projects like you already mentioned, the ones you're working right now. So I think this is great. So we have the content. I just think that then we need to uh, take this content and show it to people through, like marketing. So people can understand what it is, know how it works. I think because this is like an ongoing concern in the last few years. All of this, I think people will embrace this pretty easily. It's just about showing it to them. So I think helping you with this with your marketing campaign will be, I think will be, how was it? Will be a really fulfilling experience. It will be a great. As you can see, maybe I need to work with IITTI a bit to improve my communication skills, my soft skills. It's something I still learning.
Well,
So yeah, you
yeah,
can see it's something very needed nowadays.
well, don't worry about it, John. The whole thing, the whole idea is that this is a very new idea to most 99%, 99.999% of people in the world have probably never heard of something like this. This
Mm,
concept, right? As 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 good as we are, we're very happy, but it's still a drop in the bucket of all the things we
mm,
have done. It's really, the world's really large, and by us working with 100 different companies and so on, there are millions of companies in the world. So 100 companies is not even the rounding errors
yeah.
in terms of the world. So my proposal, I talked to your professor at length about this, is it would be great to have young people like yourself at a graduate level uh, write a one pager. I think this is a good deliverable. It's a one pager as to how we can entice, attract training companies. They would be the ones like different soft skill training company. It's not like there are no soft skill training companies out there or university that are having really good content. They do, but it's just that they're so fragmented. I think the word is the market is very fragmented. If we put it into marketing terms, is
Okay.
everybody's doing their own thing. Stanford, they have really good program. McGill, UBC, and all, well, Harvard and MIT and all that too. There are hundreds of thousands of these training organization doing really good work, but how would how would business be able to use them? A regular human resource manager, I go to work and then they receive 300 different applicants, different resume. And each one will say, well, I got this soft skill training from Stanford. I got this soft skill training from Udemy or from Coursera or wherever. There's so many good trainers out there. How can the human resource manager gauge how big that content was? Was it a one day? One week, 2 years, and so on. So unless there's a universal numbering
Mm,
system, and that's what the World Civility Index is trying to do, is we don't do the training, we do zero training. We work with many different training companies and universities. So IITTI is here, and we work with all the different training companies, trainers, and universities and so on who do training. They can go and make the big bucks, and they can feed us the breadcrumbs. I say,
mhm.
the little amount for licensing and so on to use the World Civility Index. So we are really more of a standards body, more of a like a credentialing, somewhat like ISO or TOEFL or GRE or something like that, GMAT and so on. So that is the challenge we have. It's most people, as soon as I say, oh, we do soft skill, they say, oh, you're a training company. I say, no, 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 we are not a company. We are a nonprofit. So that's one thing. And we don't do training at all. So people say, well, then what do you do? What kind of benefit do you offer? That is our communication challenge. So in a one pager, if Stanford or somebody they do training and they receive this one pager, they go, ah, yes, of course, we do the training, and you give us the credential, the numbers. You put
Mhm.
a number on top of that. So that's a very thin layer that we provide,
I see.
that would benefit everybody. So the Stanford program would be maybe 5 points, and because they're 5 days or something like that. Whereas another organization only train for 1 hour. So that is a very different thing. So, but we put a number on there so human resource person can right away see, oh, there's a five day program. That's this person earned 30 points. So 30 points means something versus somebody who earns 3 points in that regard. So that's the value we're adding. But
Okay.
how do we communicate that?
Okay. So just to to rephrase what you said, just to make sure I understand. So your main goal is to connect with training companies in the sense that you want them to embrace your index. That's the main goal, that they embrace this system. And okay, so it's of course you said you work with students, you work universities, but your main goal then is the training companies. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's great.
training companies, university, professors and the dean of a faculty, or even their higher up
Mhm,
management, because this is a big thing in some ways. Operational wise, it's very simple. We have been doing it for many number of years. So it's really for them to see that, well, they are good, in terms of what they're doing, but think about it from the consumer point of view. So when they have to think about the consumer-centric point of view, instead of their own company or the institute being
mhm,
really offering high quality, how would the consumer use that kind of their own homegrown credentialing
mhm.
versus something from IITTI that is open standard, open
I see.
source, and nonprofit in that regard.
Okay, okay, thank you, Patrick. I think we understand now better now what you want us to do. We prepared some questions. You already answered some of them, uh, but we prepared these questions to um keep working on the phase 2 and 3 of the statement of work.
Okay.
It's not a long list, maybe like 10 questions. Okay, so the first question will be, do you have any specific marketing goals for this year, in the sense of, let's say, do you have like a certain number of partnerships you would like to get with uh, training organizations? I know you mentioned you wanted like a one pager to connect with them. That's what we're going to focus on, but this information also be helpful with that. Or
Mhm.
do you have like a marketing goal to connect with organizations, with the universities, with students?
Yeah. Um, well, first of all, like I said, we are not a company, so and
Mm-hmm,
we don't owe anybody any money.
mm-hmm,
The venture capitalists, so they can't be breathing down our neck and say, well, Patrick, you got to perform. You got to have so many. Otherwise, we're going to pull the plug.
yeah.
We have that luxury that we don't have that. All the people at IITTI are volunteers. I can't twist their arm and say, well, you got to perform. Otherwise, sometimes they go well beyond, above and beyond. Sometimes they lay dormant for a number of years, and then all of a sudden something
Okay.
shoots up. And like right now, we have something in the Middle East, and there are members of ours say, "Hey, Patrick, I have this and that and that. We can do." So it's a very different kind of animal. A
Okay.
nonprofit is very different. It's very it would be quite artificial for us to say, well, okay, we're gonna pick a number. We're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
five, or we why not 50?
Yeah.
So those are the difficult things that I'm
Mm.
working with in that regard.
Okay.
But
Uh,
but to answer you, the marketing goal is really to generate awareness. I think that's the main thing, is
okay.
trainers and universities and so on. If they're not even aware of IITTI, they will never work with us. So awareness, and then also acceptance,
Okay.
adaptation. So they would adopt to something like this because they see the benefit.
Okay. Okay. So as long as it moves, project helps you move for increase the awareness. There's no like a specific target you have in mind. Uh,
Well, maybe, it'll
like a
be
number, you don't have like that in mind, but okay, I get it. Okay. Working on that. So given that IITTI is a non-profit, that means the budget for possible different campaigns will be limited, you will say?
Well, right now we are cash positive. We are very small. Overhead is very low. All of us are volunteers, so the overhead is really low by design. We want to keep it like that as a virtual company, a virtual organization. So we work with many organizations, and they go out and do the marketing. So we don't really do the marketing ourselves. Our marketing budget is really for somebody like me to go to trade shows, to go to conferences, and meet with trainers and coaches and so on. The same
Okay.
kind of strategy as what I'm asking you, but you'll be
Oh,
helping in a scaling up. How do we make it even more efficient?
okay, I get it. So yeah, so important is to connect with trainers, institutions, because they themselves will do the marketing by um, asking their students, okay, yeah, this is the system we have, so you have to follow it. So yeah, once you connect with them, they'll do pretty much like the rest of
Oh,
the work. Okay, I
yeah,
understand now.
yeah.
Okay, great.
The concept of ITTI is quite different.
Hmm.
14 years ago when we founded it, the idea is that we don't want to set up a training company. As
Hmm.
soon as we set up a training company, we can make money right away because
Hmm.
people understand what a training company is. But at the same time, you are erecting all other training companies as your competitors. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is the problem. But whereas we said, we're a standard, we do credentialing, we can provide service for all the training companies. So we turn the model around. Instead of them being competitors, we turn them into potential customers, into potential client, that partners that work with us in that regard.
Okay. Okay. The next question, I can maybe know what the answer will be, but I like to know, hear from with your words. So, what messaging has worked best so far in reaching your core audience? In this case, the training organizations. I will assume, like you said, you connect with these organizations like in person, explaining to them as you've been explaining to us right now. Or do you have maybe like a different approach when you try to connect with them?
It's I find it to be um, very challenging to talk to trainers. Myself, maybe because I'm not a trainer myself, and trainers invariably look at their work very differently. They look at the quality. They not necessarily look at the measurement. And myself being an engineer, I think about measurement all day. They don't think like that. They think, well, I have good quality. My customers, my students love me. But the thing is, though, that is not what companies want. That's not what company only want. Companies, they want measurement. But when they do training, that's why you see soft skill trainings around the world. It's very minuscule. Very few companies actually do people training, do these kind of soft skills and so on. There are many reasons. One of them is it takes too long. It's not a short-term thing where you have a 3-hour business ethics and people become ethical. It doesn't
Hmm.
happen like that.
Yeah.
So the 3-hour training is basically wasted. Not only getting the expert to come in, but you got a whole bunch of people yanking them out from their productive day for half a day for 3 hours. That's a
Hmm.
lot of money. And managers want to see the ROI, the return on investment. And if it is something that is long term about empathy and about resilience and so on, myself being an engineer, I looked at that many years ago as fluff, something that is
Hmm.
useless. Why don't you get me some training on thermodynamics so I can brush up on a steam table? Yeah, well, maybe that's more useful because I can apply it right away. So that's number one issue there. The second thing is there's no measurement. So even if I train them, well, how do you measure something like this? It's very difficult. So,
Hmm.
so very few companies actually do it. So when I talk to trainers, they say, oh, I have a very good market, but the market is very small. They are personal relationship and so on. So they go to companies and it's a very one-on-one. So it's not like they can go to 10,000 companies and be able to scale it. That's the issue I have. That's why I need help. Is that how can we scale this? We know the model works. We know everything is in line here, But how do we, instead of talking one-on-one with Microsoft one-on-one, how can we talk to 10,000 companies? There's an organization called the UNGC, UN Global Compact, and there are 10,000 companies around the world,
Mhm.
all rooting and behind the UN SDGs. The 10,000 companies, but they haven't been doing very much, quote unquote. I may get into trouble for this, but hey, those are not my words. Those are United Nations. They are saying that they're 85% behind schedule. So what have they been doing? Why is it 85 behind schedule when there are 10,000 companies that have gobs of money? Why can't they do something, in a coherent way? Well, that's because there's no measurement in that
Okay.
regard. And they have been measuring the wrong thing. They have been measuring environment and so on, where most people don't care. So you really need to have the whole massive population to care about something, to fix their inside, to take care of the inside before they can vote for the right politician, so that they would be, voting for green or something like that, so that the environmental policies can really be set by a company in that regard. So those are the kind of issues that
Okay.
we
Okay.
solve.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to try to sum this up. So, what companies want is they want the quality and they want the measurement, but a good measurement requires like a lot of time invested on it, and that's what they struggle with. That they want to see immediate returns, but something like this takes time. That's the main problem when trying to connect with companies. They don't embrace it because they look at the short term instead of the long term. Am I right? Or
Absolutely. Companies, you're right, John, because I know a lot of CEOs, and they run, especially if they're a public company. That means their stocks are listed on the stock exchange somewhere. They have to perform every quarter, every 3 months. There's a quarter report, right? So if you don't do well this quarter, your job as a CEO could be in jeopardy.
hmm,
So they don't have the luxury of looking 5 years or 10 years down the road in that regard. But of course, there are the exceptions. There are companies who, right from the very beginning, they have this idea that the company culture, their people, and people relationship with the customers are very important, and they make out like a bandit. Their companies are worth a lot of money in very short period of time. One of them is Zappos, Zappo, with an exclamation mark at the end there, and it was run by a fellow by the name of Tony Shi, or late Tony Shi. And the idea is really that, they sell shoes online. And Zappos did very well. At the end, they sold it to, I believe, Amazon for many, many, many millions, if not billions of dollars. So that's the numbers. You say, well, where's the ROI, the return on investment? Well,
mhm.
you can't measure things in the short term and say, wow, it doesn't work. Well, because sometimes things have a long cycle, and soft skills is a long cycle. It's not like learning differential equation. You get one semester and you learn pretty much most of the differential equations you want to solve. That's not the case. So those are the difficult things, but it doesn't mean that when it works, when people see that it works beautifully, but over a longer period of time than just a quarter in that regard.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Through my class at the university, I heard I don't remember the name of the exact concept, but basically, when CEOs prioritize short-term projects instead of long-term projects, even if those long-term projects are way better for the company because they care about how it benefits them. Because yeah, they may be on the position for like 5 years or so. They won't reap the fruit from those long-term projects, even if they invest the time.
Mhm.
So I think I understand this part. So yeah, basically, I think that it would be great to show this potential. Um, I want to call them customers, just these training companies,
Sure.
uh, by show them like the results. You mentioned that this first of all, could you please what name can I give this initiative that IITTI has with the UN, the one that ends this year in June? Because I have the article here, but I don't find like the name of the initiative.
Oh, I think it was about in Southeast Asia. That
Yeah.
Southeast Asia, motivating young people to understand soft skills, the
Mm-hmm.
importance of soft skills. The concept is, you know, even though companies will very unlikely to do this kind of training,
Mm-hmm.
young people, on the other hand, they have the time. And so
Mm-hmm.
if we can motivate, let them be aware that this is important, not just their thermodynamics and hard skills, that is what can allow them to get into the working world in a much smoother transition. I'll quote another organization called the SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Management, SHRM. They have published white paper and research saying that young people nowadays they don't have the soft skill. Okay, but companies want the world. They want people who are not only good in their hard skills, and they also want them to be good in terms of people skills. So that's why there are jobs that are not filled in a company, because human resource people say, hey, Patrick, I can't hire these young people because they have no life skill. Don't understand how to deal with people. When you work for a company, say Microsoft, it's no longer, well, you're a computer programmer, you work in the back room in the lab and so on. No, nowadays, if you do that work for Microsoft, you talk to the customers, you may talk to the supplier, business partners, and so on. So unless you have the soft skills, it's very hard for a company to justify
Mm-hmm.
to hire somebody to represent the company like Microsoft
Yeah.
in that regard. So those are the things. Young people, there's a research paper saying that young people think their soft skills are better than they are. But
Mm-hmm.
from the outside, people see that they don't have the soft skills.
Okay.
So that's the thing we need to motivate. So it's a multi side challenge. Is we got to talk to the trainers, we got to talk to young people, so on and so forth.
I would like to know what worked to solve this problem in this project in Southeast Asia, because if I would like to know, so because if it worked, maybe we can, like, how do I say it, like apply that same concept to this project to better connect with other organizations. If we know what worked, we can come up with a better like structured solution. So I would like to hear more about that. Like, uh, what exactly did you do to connect with those organizations? It was you connect first with the organization, or you found maybe that first by motivating students, young job seekers, then maybe the companies saw that because young people were embracing this idea, they were more willing to accept it. Where did you start?
We started the same old-fashioned way, is
Mm-hmm.
through connection IITTI has with different trainers in different countries, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, so on and so forth. And so they would talk to their students and
Mm-hmm.
clients and so on, and introduce this idea. So that's
Okay.
why, and of course, in Southeast Asia, there are high population density. But also I think is the cultural influence in
Mm-hmm.
Southeast Asia, for example. They readily embrace the idea that soft skills
Mm-hmm.
are important. So they're much into a relational kind of a thinking rather than a transactional. So you buy, I sell, that's it. We all go home and so on. No. They are very relational. They think about building relationship and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So they understand the importance of people skills. So that is one of the major difference. Can it work in other like North America here? in Africa, in India, for example. How can those markets be cracked open in that regard?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. Definitely your current strategy works because we can see the results. But I think if you keep using the same methodology, of course it's going to work, but it won't be as fast as you would like it to be because yeah, it takes time. So I think and now that we have some evidence, like the result of this initiative in Southeast Asia, so we pair that with your current methodology. I think it will boost the awareness even more because let's say you approach a company and you connect with them as you uh, normally do, but also you show them, look, it works. We have these numbers companies that and people who embraced this index perform better, have better connections, all of that. So I would like you, if it's okay, later on, if you could maybe send us some of those results, of those hard data, all those numbers, we can showcase somewhere in the project that definitely will persuade these organizations to embrace the index even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that will be a great thing to know to plan this project even better.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and let me see what other questions because you already answered most of them in some way or another. You were oh yeah, so I'll I'd like to know more about your website. I'd like to know if it's optimized for is it has search engine optimization. If you don't, I don't know if you know what that is. Basically, like different words, different phrases. So the web page comes appears naturally on Google, for example, when people look for soft skills or training or all those things. Is it
Yeah.
optimized currently or?
Uh, Now, a lot of programmers and experts would disagree with me. I say, our strategy is really about soft skill training.
Mhm,
It's not about training at all. Most people say, "Well, Patrick, you're not even on there." When we look at soft skill training and so on, or even soft skill certification,
mhm.
we optimize it based on one key phrase: soft skill standards.
Soft
So
skills
the
standards.
standard. We're promoting a standard like ISO. It's an oddball. It's not there are not a whole lot of standards body out there in the world. But we are promoting a standard. So if you look for soft skills standard on your Google, I think we are still on the first page, if I'm not mistaken. So that is what we're thinking in that regard. Are
Yeah, it
we
shows up first.
first page?
Yeah.
Yay! After so many years, we're still on the. But the thing is, though, most people don't care about a standard.
Yeah, because they yeah, people when they want to know training so they can improve to put something on their LinkedIn, something like that. They don't really look at the framework behind it. So yeah, I can see where the problem resides. Okay.
That's a big problem. Yeah, that's the big problem. We're behind the scene.
Mm-hmm.
We like to stand in the background when people take a picture. It's all the training companies and so on that stand in front and wave to the crowd and so on. We're just a number. What's the big deal? Well, it's a key component. That's the missing link we want
Mm-hmm.
to suggest. But once it's there, it's like other technology. When the plane is flying in the sky, nobody cares about the mechanical behind it. It's only
Mm-hmm.
when it doesn't work, then you say, "Oh, it's the
Okay.
mechanical or the numbers and so on." So that's what the life of an engineer.
Mm-hmm. Um, I would like also to know also how often is the website updated with new content, with new case studies, articles, etc.
Not often. The website I admit, that some people don't like it. They say this is like a government website. I said, oh, good. We exactly want to be like the government. We're a standard body. We're like the Ministry of Education. We set the standard. We don't do the education. We don't
Mhm.
we don't do the training. It's the schools who do the training. So we are like the Ministry of Education. We set the standard, but people don't like it. And so that's something that we can improve. But Jhoan, I'm waiting for AI to help me. So AI can one day just say, I'll just type into something like ChatGPT and say, make me a sexy looking website. And then ChatGPT will solve my problem in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know that there are AIs that work like that nowadays.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. We took a look at the website, and the content is there. It's just that, yeah, maybe it's, for today's world, maybe it doesn't look as modern as people are used to it. And whether we like it or not, most things nowadays get to us first through our eyes.
Mhm.
If it is not like visually appealing, sometimes we may think of something as less quality or not as important. It's a shame it's like that, but that's reality. So I think part of the project can include modernizing the web page a bit, so it has a more how do I say it, like have more presence, so to speak. So I think that will be great. Uh, what else? A little bit more organization. Okay, okay. So, answer awareness. Okay, just let me think for a moment, because I think this may be the last question. Um, Share awareness. Okay. Okay, so far, what I understand from uh, what you want to get from this project is you want help with connecting with training companies so they can embrace this system. It's not your main goal to, of course, it's important to connect with students, with job seekers, but your main goal is to connect with this training, these organizations, because they themselves will do the rest of the marketing hard work by requiring people to embrace the index. But I also think is important to work a bit also on connecting with students, with getting people to know the index in general, because of course, by connecting to these organizations, people will embrace it because they will see the importance, but also by connecting with students, job seekers first, and they themselves embracing this system, companies will see that, okay, yeah, it's something that it's getting traction, something that people are embracing. So some companies may embrace the system even if you don't connect with them directly, by seeing that people are using it. So I think that the marketing campaign can also focus a bit on, like social media, creating content, maybe connecting like directly with students, with universities. It's not the main focus, but it's something secondary that could help in the end.
Mhm.
So I,
Sure.
I would like to know your opinion about it. If
I
you think
think,
it's accurate or not.
yeah, I think you very, very relevant, very, very insightful. And that is like setting up let me close the door. There's noise out there now. Well, yeah, okay. People out there making noises. Um, a standard is actually quite a hard thing to do. It's not like a company where you see, well, this is one set. You open a restaurant, you know who your customers are, so you can
Mhm.
market to them very quickly. Whereas a standard, we have multi-side customers. We have the trainers that we have to convince. We have the young people. We have the
Mm.
companies, and so on and so forth. And in some cases, we also have to have the government to. So there are many sides to it. And um, by me saying, well, Jhoan, let's go to appeal to the training companies, to the universities and so on. That's only one side of it. But
Mm-hmm.
the other side is the students, the young people themselves. They are lacking this knowledge and awareness in most cases, which are the ones that would give us the most bang for the buck, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
With very little money, we can make the most splash in the world. I guess that's the $1 million question. So I'm up to suggestions. Maybe this one pager should not be appealing to the training companies. One pager should appeal to the young people in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to the suggestion.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Patrick. I think that was, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for taking the time. Oh, it's already 1 hour. I didn't know it was that long. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy person. Thank you so much for um, responding all our questions. I think now we understand what you want, what you need, and we can definitely help you with that. So yeah, thank you so much for let's stay connected and we'll start working on it, and maybe by the end of the week we can schedule another meeting if you're okay.
Sure. Yeah.
uh, and sorry that the rest of the team couldn't join. It's just that we're students, we have very different schedules of all of us,
Yes.
but yeah,
I
please, thank you
understand.
so much.
Kushi, you have a question or something?
Yes, just a quick question that was going on in my mind. Although you mentioned that it is a non-profit organization and you have like less overheads and like more, you have positive cash flow. I just want to know like how you budget your things. Like for example, as we are going to work on the marketing strategies, some of them might cost something. So, is there any budget that you set while look thinking about any marketing strategies or stuff like that that may cost something to you? So is there any budget for you?
Yeah. Well, I think we're cash positive, and we're actually having this kind of a piggy bank idea, this fund that we have because uh, even though myself, I'm not collecting a salary or anything like that. When I retire or if I die, the next CEO that comes in could be a young, well, probably is going to be younger than me, and that person may need to live, and so they need to get paid. So our
Yes.
piggy bank, our fund is there. So when money comes in now, we save a lot of them so that when the time comes, IITTI will grow, even though
Mhm.
we want to keep it small, but there still need to be a skeletal staff, so CEO and so on. They need to be paid. So that is
Yeah.
the so now with if there's marketing that the whole team feels, oh yeah, we must spend that money. The money could be there in that regard. So don't be shy to suggest that this is a must do. And by you doing that, you're going to increase it by 10
Mhm.
times faster and secure the market before somebody else take the idea and run with it. Um,
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
okay, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your time.
All
thank you
right.
so much, Patrick. I'm ashamed to say, but I've never. Oh yeah, the recording is from your part, right?
On my side.
Okay,
So
yeah. I will appreciate it if you. I don't know how it works, but if you can share the recording with us so we can show it to the rest of the team.
sure.
Yes.
What I'll do is I'll upload it to our YouTube channel so that everybody can all the person on your team can watch it at their leisure.
Oh yeah, sure. Sounds perfect.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. So thank you so much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Patrick.
Patrick. Have a good afternoon, you too.
Have a
Bye
good
bye.
day. Bye.